Good day. My name is Jim Toland, and I'm a Senior Product Manager with the Azure Data Group, and I'm here today to show you about the Azure Database Migration Guide. I'd like to start out by showing you the guide landing page, which you can see on screen here. Notice the URL, I'll give you this at the end as well, but it's datamigration.microsoft.com. And the main part of the screen here is what we call the carousel, and this carousel actually shows a variety of sources that you might be migrating from. And basically, to get yourself to a specific scenario, you hover over one of the tiles that's a source, and it displays the various targets that you can choose from. Before we go into the scenario information, I'm going to show you a little bit more about what's on this main page. At the very top, there's a migration overview button that you can use. If you click on that, it gives you a pop-out window that shows you the general process for migration. It's broken into 3 phases or stages: pre-migration, migration, and post-migration. And then beneath that is a table that talks about the stages and the various phases inside of each. In addition to the migration overview, there's a Need a Recommendation button, and clicking this will pop up a window that gives you a table that describes the various database options that we have to migrate to. And basically it has a column that asks you to focus on what you're looking for, what you're trying to get out of the solution, and it gives you guidance on which particular target you should choose. For example, Azure SQL Database or SQL Server on virtual machines. In addition to those 2 buttons I just highlighted for you, there is a list of commonly used guides. So instead of having to select a source and target, these single links here will take you directly to some of the most commonly used scenarios, including SQL Server to Azure SQL Database, SQL to SQL, Oracle to SQL, and DB to Azure SQL Database. Beneath those commonly used guides are a listing of case studies and partner tools. These are not specific to any particular scenario, but instead give you an idea of customer success stories associated with the case studies, and also the wide variety of partner tools that we have available to assist you during the migration process. At the very bottom of the screen, there's a couple more links. We've got a link here called Contribute to the Migration Guide on GitHub. And if you have a GitHub membership, you can actually, or account, you can go directly to the GitHub repository, and you can suggest changes or updates to the content directly. In addition, we have a link to start a conversation on Gitter, which opens up a window that allows you to ask questions and get responses from peers who have similar interests. And finally, at the bottom is a Tell Us About Your Experience, which is a link that opens up a dialog box that allows you to let us know what you think. Did you like the content? Were you able to migrate your data? And then a section here for providing us additional feedback if necessary. Now let's take a look at the actual scenario content, and I'm going to hover over the SQL Server icon and point to Azure SQL Database. This would be the same as clicking on the most commonly used guides for that particular scenario, but we're going to access this way through the carousel. After clicking on this, it takes a second to load, and what will happen is the screen will open up and display the content relevant to the specific scenario. In this case, again, SQL Server to Azure SQL Database. As you might have noticed or recall from the graphic that I displayed, the migration process is broken down into 3 stages: pre-migration, migration, and post-migration. And when you open up a scenario, it defaults to the first of these, the pre-migration phase. And within that, you find an overview, various supported versions for migration, additional resources that may be of value to you, prerequisites that assist in setting up your environment to be able to have a successful migration, And then headings for various phases within the pre-migration stage: discover, assess, and convert. And inside here we also have some step-by-step information that will guide you through the specific things you need to do to be able to, for example, in this case, assess your source database. In addition, on the right side, there's a floating menu that has some buttons on it. The migration overview, again, brings up that graphic I showed you earlier. The idea here is to, at any point within a scenario, allow the user to pop up that window to get a better sense of where they are in the process. In addition, there's a rationale button, and by clicking the rationale button, you basically see the rationale or the benefits for moving to the specific target that you chose. So some good information there. In addition, you have a Case Studies and Partner Tools button, and in this case, unlike on the front page where they weren't scoped to any particular scenario, on this page you actually get the case studies and partner tools that are actually specific to this unique scenario. Beneath that, there are icons for, or pardon me, links for printing, emailing, and sharing. Printing allows you to print out a PDF version of your scenario for offline use, and then you can email a link to the scenario to a colleague, and you can also share it via Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. There at the bottom of this screen are buttons that allow you to move forward to or backwards, depending on where you are in the process, to the migration phase, which follows the pre-migration, and then also to the post-migration phase. Again, you can also click on the tabs at the top, and each of the tabs is going to have the information that's relevant to the specific phases in that stage, as well as links to additional resources as necessary. So, I real quickly want to show you some links that you can use to access the guide. Basically, to access the guide, you can use a short URL. I've also provided the standard URL. And I've also got here the URLs for contributing to the guide itself. Again, you have to have a GitHub account to be able to contribute. And to start a conversation, you have to have a Gitter account. And then that allows you to enter questions and provide responses to other people who might have entered questions in the Gitter chat room. That's pretty much concludes my session, and I hope you will take advantage of the Database Migration Guide, see what it has to offer, and if there are additional content pieces or suggestions you have, please go ahead and contribute or let us know via the feedback. Thank you and have a great day.